Since the 1830s, Elmhurst has grown from a quiet farming community at the edge of Chicago into a vibrant suburban city that stands on its own. Much has changed since those early days. For more than 60 years, the Elmhurst History Museum has proudly shared the stories that make up Elmhurst's rich and unique history. Today, the Elmhurst History Museum's mission is to engage people with history through our exhibits, collections, and educational programs. The museum presents a wide variety of exhibits annually, including original exhibits planned by our staff, as well as national traveling exhibits from other institutions on a full range of history-related topics. The museum's award-winning exhibit on Elmhurst history in the second floor gallery is an innovative and fascinating look at the story of Elmhurst. Beyond exhibits, our programs and special events actively connect people with history through interesting lectures and tours, fun family activities, exhibit sneak previews, and large-scale special events like the annual Museum Day celebration. Our school programs provide hands-on interactive ways to learn about history. Children love to take part in the immersive experience at our Churchville one-room schoolhouse, led by a schoolmarm from the early 1900s, as well as participate in old-fashioned games and I Spy activities during field trips to the museum. There's always something new to see and do at the Elmhurst History Museum, so be sure to stop by soon at 120 East Park Avenue in downtown Elmhurst. The museum is located in the landmark Gloss Mansion, just across from the Elmhurst Metro Station. The Elmhurst History Museum is open Sunday and Tuesday through Friday from 1 to 5 p.m. and Saturdays from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Admission is free. For more information, please visit our website at elmhursthistory.org.
Welcome to Community Conversations. My name is Cathy Jordan, and I am the chair for the Elmhurst Senior Commission. The Commission provides information, advice, resources, and advocacy to enhance the quality of life for adults in Elmhurst. Before we start, I'd like to thank Mayor Morley and the City Council for all of their support. And I'd like to introduce some of our commission members that are here. I always say you're never as good as, you're always as good as the people you are working with. And I work with a great bunch of people. We have Peggy LaCicero, Ruth Maple, Gail Anderson, Georgia Dolan, and Amy Schrael. So this morning we have a wonderful presentation that the Commission has been advocating for since 2015. And I want to give you a little bit of background. In 2015, we asked that the Park District redefine what a senior center could be in the Elmhurst community. The senior center of the future, we said, should not be the senior center of our grandmothers and grandfathers. It must be futuristic to meet the growing needs of a population that is much healthier, more active, and aging in place. The Park District must be the camera of the community of Elmhurst and focus on the future needs of the seniors residing in Elmhurst. The senior center should be the sense of community, providing that, important resources for our aging community, and should offer thoughtful programming and services to help seniors stay active and independent. Having said that, the Park District has responded through their strategic plan. And I am so happy to introduce Jim Rogers, the Executive Director of the Elmhurst Park District, who will give us an overview of Vision 2020 and the potential of a possible new senior center. Thank you so much for coming. Jim?
Thank you very much, Kathy. Good morning, everyone. And I'd like to first start off, again, my name is Jim Rogers. I'm the Executive Director of the Park District. Very pleased to be here this morning. I'd like to thank the Elmhurst Senior Citizens Commission, as well as the City of Elmhurst, for hosting this program and inviting me to come here and present what's being talked about. And what's exciting about this program, as you know, is called Community Conversations. And you'll see today, as I talk about the Park District's Vision 2020 plan, that we're following kind of a similar model where everything that I'll be talking about is based upon feedback and input that we've been receiving from the community as we move forward. So I'm very excited about that. So to start, the name of the plan that the district has embarked on is called Vision 2020, and it's kind of focused on the future. It's a little bit of a play on words there with kind of a double meaning. One is the notion of that clear vision, that 2020 vision of what's ahead of us. But in addition, next year, the year 2020, happens to be the Elmhurst Park District's 100th anniversary. And so we're very pleased about kind of the notion of tying all of this together of what does the community see for the future of its park district as we embark on really this second century. So with that, today what I'll do is I'll talk a little bit about the Vision 2020 plan in the overall and what it means for the community and the feedback that we've gotten thus far. I'll then talk about the potential for a new senior center and really the support and need that the community has indicated is there for a facility of that type. I'll kind of talk about what's next in our planning processes, and then I'll talk about how folks in the community can help us make that happen. So really, as I said, our process thus far, we've garnered a tremendous amount of community input. We did a community survey about a year and a half ago that was mailed out to homes, similar to the survey that the city does, asked about all sorts of questions about folks' leisure interests and activities and desires, both from a programming perspective and a facilities perspective. I'll talk a little bit about that more in a moment. And really, the overall of what folks are telling us is that they want new places to play, they want more programming, and they want even better upkeep of the parks and fields here in the community. And we're excited about working towards trying to provide that. As I said, lots of community input has been held. We've done a number of focus groups. We've done some at the Abbey, the district's current senior center, as I know many of you are well aware, and also at a number of our other facilities as well. And from that came really 6 major key findings from facilities, or from an overall perspective from facilities and parks. And what it told us was that the 6 key findings are that the community could use additional neighborhood parks. Believe it or not, there are a number of neighborhoods, in the community, about a half a dozen or so, that don't have any neighborhood parks. And what that means is that you can't walk to a park without having to cross railroad tracks or a major street here and there. And so it's even as we were kind of going through the process, we sort of know certain areas where there aren't parks, but it's been interesting to sort of lay it out and really look at it objectively and realize that there are a number of neighborhoods that don't have that. So they don't have that neighborhood playground or the place to go for a walk or take your dog for a walk. In addition, the community desires an indoor sports center. This community, compared to communities throughout the region, is really lacking from that perspective in terms of having enough gymnasiums for kids to play in, having it's become a trend in recent years, synthetic turf or indoor soccer fields. But a facility like this, too, is also talked about in the feedback that we got, too, was not just about serving children, but also things like an indoor walking track, which has come up a tremendous amount from folks of all ages, and even some other ideas like, again, we would have potentially hard court basketball courts that could be basketball, they could be volleyball, but then they could also perhaps be something like pickleball. So we're excited about those potential ideas as well. A dog park is something that's been talked about. We're one of the very few communities in the area around here that does not have a dog park. I see some smiles in the audience. I'm sure a few dog owners with us today. And that's something we're very excited about as well, as trying to provide that to the community. Another thing that came up in terms of the condition and the maintenance and upkeep of the parks, it came out that the findings found that the parks were maintained in fair condition with opportunity to improve, both from a maintenance perspective and then even the perspective of the amenities in the park, so park benches, walking paths, water fountains, and things like that. Next, the community talked to us as a high priority the opportunity to potentially expand our community center, the Wagner Community Center up on the north side of town. The former Cornell Elementary School has served as the Park District's Wagner Community Center for about 15 years now, and some opportunity potentially to expand there and even look at some of the programs that we do in some of the smaller recreation buildings around town and maybe bring those together under one roof. And then finally, and why I'm here today, another high priority that was mentioned was a new or improved senior center. And as Cathy alluded to in her opening comments, a bit of the genesis for this was the Senior Commission coming and speaking to the Park District and the Park Board. And then we were very pleased at the timing of that because we were just embarking on this Vision 2020 planning process and were able to incorporate the concept of, or the ideas and receive input about a new senior center during that process. So now I'll jump in a little bit and talk about kind of what we found through our process about the support and need for a new center. Starting off with a look at the current Abbey facility, we had, as part of the planning process, we had an independent firm come in and look at all of the district's parks and facilities and evaluate each of them on objective criteria. And the Abbey came in with a grade of about a C+. We have a number of Abbey users here in the room, and I think probably many would share that. It's a fine facility, has served the community very well, but was originally built back in the 1950s as a youth center, and then transitioned in the 70s. I see some smiles in the audience too. I won't ask for a show of hands of who was at the youth center back in the day, but maybe we'll talk about that afterwards. But then transitioned in the 1970s to fully serving seniors as well. But again, fine facility, but you know, kind of gets an average grade. We then asked questions of the folks on the survey about how they would rate the condition of various facilities. And this is every facility that the Park District operates and every park, excluding those that were recently upgraded or renovated. So a couple of that we had done in recent years weren't included. And this list, the dark blue shows ratings that were excellent, light blue is good, yellow is fair, and pink is poor. And you can see where the Abbey is. It's a tough chart to read, but we put the little box on the left there to show you. The Abbey was the lowest rated facility of all of the Park District's facilities. Didn't really come as a major surprise to us, but just shows the opportunity and need for investment and improvement. Next, we then asked, in addition to facilities, we asked about programs. And so what types, and these could be any program, and again, the survey was for individuals of all ages, communities, and households throughout the community. And we asked about desire for programming, what programming priorities would come out. And what this chart looks at is it's something called a priority investment rating. And it's a combination of folks' responses to our survey in terms of how important certain programs were to them and how much of an unmet need there was. Because those are two very important components, because it could be that let's say, for example, I like to water ski. So water skiing is very, very important to me, but I water ski every day after work. So it's very important to me, but I don't have any unmet need. My needs are being met. What this does is this looks at the combination of both of those and puts them on this chart to talk about how important is it to you and what is the unmet need. And what came back really in the entirety of the upper half of the ratings were adult programs. So adult fitness and wellness, adult continuing education opportunities, adult programs for individuals 62 years of age and over, and then adult art, dance, and performing arts. And at some point in the future, if you look at this afterwards, you'd have the chance to see when you get to the bottom of the chart and those that weren't as high a priority, lots and lots of youth programming. And I would imagine most of you in the room have been in Elmhurst for quite some time and you have kids, grandkids and such. And you know, if you have a child, we're not lacking in Elmhurst for things for children to do. So we weren't really surprised at these ratings that said that children's needs are being met, but there's really opportunities here to do more and provide more programming and opportunities for adults. We then looked and broke down those findings by household types. And so what this chart shows from left to right is certain types of households. So the first column is households with children under the age of 10. And then the next is households with children between the ages of 10 and 19. The next is households with no children, individuals ages 20 to 64. And then the far right column is households with no children, ages 65 and older. And then the yellow boxes, again, same findings as before, but we grouped them by household type to show, not surprisingly, that adult fitness programs, adult continuing education programs, programs for seniors, really rated high in these two groups, both adults kind of before senior and then senior age adults as well. Next, then, we talked to folks about what type of actions would they like to see the Park District take. And so from a facility or from addressing some of these items. And so this chart talks about some of those key findings that I talked about. It talks about the first item listed up there is upgrading existing parks, upgrading existing outdoor sports fields, acquiring land to serve underserved areas. And then the fourth one on the list is develop a new senior center. And these ratings from the dark blue making your way to the left are very supportive, somewhat supportive, not sure, or not supportive. And so very, very strong ratings where of the items on here, and remember too, the folks who responded to this survey were not just senior citizens who would be interested in a senior center. It was folks of all ages from all households across the community. And so to see that, for example, a new senior center was rated above a new indoor gymnasium, expanding Wagner, and so on and so forth, speaks to how the entire community, I think, sees the need and the opportunity to potentially develop a new senior center. And in the overall, 58% of respondents to the survey indicated that they were very or somewhat supportive of developing a new senior center. As a taxpayer-supported governmental entity, we then asked questions just in the general of what types of improvements would the community be most willing to fund using tax dollars, if tax dollars were to be used. And we asked folks to rank what would be the first thing you would fund, what would be the second thing, and what would be the third thing. And again, you see the fourth item on the list was developing a new senior center, which again came out very strongly, where 23% of respondents had developing a new senior center as one of their top 3 priorities. So again, very important to think about in terms of, again, this speaking to the entire community in terms of how they valued that. We then moved on and said, all right, if the idea was the potential of tax dollars supporting these initiatives, how would residents feel about a referendum if a referendum was held to do these types of things? And so this question wasn't just about a senior center, it was about all of those key initiatives. Very important to note when we asked this question, because it was about a year and a half ago, and we were just asking conceptually, there were not dollars associated with this question. So people didn't know how much it might be on a referendum, but just the concept of it. And the results came back where 42% of folks said they would vote in favor, and about 30% said they might vote in favor. And this specific question was, if a voter referendum was held to fund the improvement, development, and operations of the types of parks, trails, fitness, sports, and recreation facilities that are most important to you and members of your household, how would you vote in the election? And so this question came right after folks answered questions about what's important to you. So one of you might have said, a new senior center is important to me, providing parks in neighborhoods that don't have them, and then you moved on to this question. So again, not an indicator that the community would necessarily support a referendum, but certainly indicates an openness to considering it as we move forward. So now I'm going to shift gears a little bit. This has been kind of looking at what the community told us in the directions, and now I'm going to talk a little bit about some of the research that we've done following up those results to talk about what some of the benefits of a new senior center could be for not just Elmhurst, but for seniors in general. Some of these findings are from a study that the National Parks and Recreation Association did, and talks about, first of all, that senior centers are one of the most widely used services among older Americans. Talks about the fact that the older population is increasing annually, but with 69% of working Americans retiring before age 65, and Cathy alluded to that in her opening comments, that most communities, and this one as well, are aging. And therefore, senior centers and programs will see increased participation in recreation, fitness, and wellness programs. Again, good to see that that's being shown on a national scale and mirrors what folks in Elmhurst have told us as well. And then moving on a little bit, this was another study that was done talking to seniors specifically, and it asked the question, what are the benefits you as an individual receive? And what came back, it said that seniors said that when I'm engaged at a senior center, I laugh more often. 49% of folks, I have reduced levels of stress. 48% of folks said that. I feel less lonely, said 46% of respondents. And I feel more satisfied with my life, said 43% of respondents. So again, really shows the impact that a senior center can have for individuals. And so then what's next from the Elmhurst Park District's perspective with the findings that we found from the community, and then what trends are also being shown nationally for us? We're continuing our process, continuing to garner input, continuing our process of re-engaging with the community, and today is an example of that. We've been giving this presentation to really any and all groups in town that would love to hear it. We've also been talking to our senior groups at the Abbey and getting their input as well. So continuing to re-engage. We're then looking at alternatives for where a senior center might be, what components it would have, where it would be located. We're developing programming plans in terms of new services that could potentially be in a senior center, and then looking at what the finances might look like that, and then also talking about looking at partners and funding. Our overall message with all of Vision 2020 that we're telling folks is we want to make it happen, and we're asking you to continue to tell us more. So as a part of that, we've created a website that is called Vision 2020, and it looks like this, and it allows opportunities for folks to go and really learn what I just told you, learn about all these projects, learn about ways to provide additional information and things. And then we also created a short, about 2.5-minute video that we're going to share with you that kind of highlights some of those projects. And Amy's going to click on it, and we'll watch it here for just a moment.
Today's society, everybody's on their phones and looking down, and I feel that having a dog park, not only will people be going there to bring their pets to have a great time, but you're going to be meeting people. You're going to be meeting local residents and being able to open up communication and talk to people.
The senior center is a high priority for the Elmhurst community because seniors are living longer. The baby boomers are coming down the pike, and they're active, and they want to have something that will keep them active and engaged in the community. This is the time when we can say what we want.
The community center belongs to all of us. It's all a second home for people in Elmhurst and their children, and people without children. We should all be able to have it reflect what we really would like, and the Park District can't do that without our input.
Without question, open space, you cannot get enough of it. I think everybody should have some say and some buy-in potentially. And I think what the Park District's trying to do is obviously get that feedback from people and just support or not support whether they desire open space.
Why is it important? The fields need to be groomed. There can't be big stones on the fields. Kids get injured by that stuff when they're fielding ground balls. You can't have weeds on the field. We need the fields to be manicured perfectly.
We would really like an indoor facility to have lots of turf fields, lights, and the availability to play for longer hours. It's great for a community to have lots of different opportunities for kids to get out of the house and get exercise, play with their friends, especially these days when there's a lot of screen time going on.
Everything that you see around me and behind me today came from community feedback, whether it be the initial development of Barron's Park decades ago to the redevelopment of it just about 15 years ago. And so people are saying, we really enjoy and appreciate and love what you have right now, but we really want more, we want newer, we want bigger, we want better, and we're excited about working to try to provide that.
To step up and speak up, if it's something you want or something you don't want, make your voice heard, attend a meeting, send an email.
They need to know. They need to know. We want great parks to attract people to come to Elmhurst. We love Elmhurst.
Engagement is important because it's not just about 7 people possibly sitting around a table deciding what's important for the community. It's the community sharing with those 7 people what's important and what they would like to see provided for them with their tax dollars.
When you get input from people that really have a passion for something, I think that means a lot. I really appreciated that.
The more input you can give, the more pride you're going to have in the final place. And I think that that's really important.
And so as I said, that kind of gives an example and an overview of the types of opportunities that the community is telling us that they would like us to pursue. And again, that's what's been so exciting about this process, is that all of it comes from community input for all of these key findings that have come forward. And so on the website, and as was mentioned in the video, we have lots of opportunities for people to reach out and provide us their feedback and their take on these things, tell us they want to help, tell us they'd like us to see us do something different, or tell us that they'd rather we not pursue some of these types of things. So we're certainly open to all of that. In addition, when you walked in today, you were given one of these brochures. Hopefully everyone got one. Again, kind of lays out the initiatives and opportunities that I've spoken about. In addition, inside of this, there's a comment card that would certainly encourage any of you today to take a chance to fill out and leave with us, or return back to the Park District at any time that you might like to provide us with your thoughts and your feedback on that. So again, these are the initiatives then that the community has told us that they would like to see us pursue, that notion of a new indoor sports facility, expanded Wagner Community Center, acquiring more open space, a new dog park, improving the condition of parks and facilities, and amenities, and then also looking at a new senior center. So then I alluded to it a little bit before, but then we have to talk about, well, how might we work to make this happen? And one of the ideas and one of the things that we're looking at is partners. This community, I believe one of the real bedrocks and strong points of this community is the amount of collaboration and cooperation that goes on between businesses and governmental entities and the school district and the college and nonprofits and throughout. And we have a very strong relationship at the Park District with all of those types of entities, including the Elmhurst Senior Commission. And so we're already having conversations with potential partners as we look at a new senior center and how we might be able to bring services under one roof. As Cathy talked about in her opening comments and with the comments from the Senior Commission, the Park District is in the business of providing recreational services. And so that's mostly what we do at the Abbey. There are some social service opportunities that we make available. But for example, here at City Hall, there are a number of senior support services and referral services that are made available. But the concept is, wouldn't it make a lot more sense and wouldn't it be nicer if those were maybe housed under one roof? So if you're coming to the Senior Center for a recreation program and you need information about a transportation program, you can kind of take care of all of that business in one opportunity. So we're talking to the city. We're having we've already started programming with the College of DuPage on some cooperative programming opportunities. The Senior Commission mentioned potentially looking and working with Edward Elmhurst Health, so a lot of potential opportunities to partner. So the next comes the notion of how we might go about funding these types of initiatives. These initiatives, and I should have probably stated this sooner, are ones that are beyond the district's current level of funding. The community supports a terrific park district, 28 park sites, over a dozen different facilities, hundreds of programs every year, hundreds of acres of parkland. But these initiatives, all told, are really kind of that notion of the community telling us that in its next century, they want to raise the bar for the Park District, and that's beyond the district's current level of funding. You may not know, but the Elmhurst Park District share of your tax dollar is 1 nickel for every property tax dollar that you spend. So when you get your tax bill from DuPage County, 5 cents of every $1 goes to the Park District to provide the park system. In addition, we like to show this chart. This chart shows the tax rates, and it's not important that the writing at the bottom is a little bit tiny, but this shows the tax rates for every park district in DuPage County, from Wheaton on the left, the highest there on the left, to the Route 53 Trails Estates Park District on the right. And the blue bar, about a third of the way over from the right, is the Elmhurst Park District, and where we sit in relation to the rest of DuPage County. The yellow line across the middle there is the average tax rate for a park district in DuPage County. So we're below the average rate there, which in 2017 was 0.40. In 2017, the Elmhurst Park District's tax rate was 0.34, 0.345. And then last year in 2018, the rate actually dipped a little bit and was 0.341. So just to kind of give a perspective, and I'm an Elmhurst resident like all of you, taxpayer here in town as well. We know that sometimes taxes can be an uncomfortable topic of conversation for folks, but we need to have the conversation, and we feel like the most important thing we can do is make sure that people are informed as they make decisions and provide input and provide feedback. So I feel like this is very important to note for folks that if the expectations of the community are that it's, say, more than an average park district, that at some point the funding levels might need to reflect that. But as I said, looking at a referendum or tax dollars is certainly not the only avenue that we're taking. We're looking at those partnership opportunities as well to try to help offset some of those costs. So the question then of how can we make it happen, and when we say we really mean all of us, all of you here in the room. We're continuing this process. We're identifying champions and advocates, so people that want to be involved and want to assist us. We're continuing to hold public meetings. We have another couple later this month, including one focused on the Adult Center. So we would certainly be interested if any of you in the room tonight would like to be would like to be invited to that meeting. We're again encouraging community feedback and participation. Again, appreciate very much those of you who have come out today. And again, we're working to continue to create awareness and spread the knowledge, because we find that as we're out talking to the community, you know how it goes with surveys. You know, some people fill out surveys, some don't, some have the time, some don't. But when we're out there really getting this feedback, we're really getting a lot of positive feedback. We've been taking all of this information and going to the Park District's community events. I don't know if any of you might have gone or taken a granddaughter or grandson to our Eldridge Park Adventure Days last weekend, but we had a tent there talking about Vision 2020. Again, just continuing to garner feedback and get input from folks about what they would like to see for the future of the Elmhurst Park District, including as we're gathered here today for the future of a potential new senior center. So I thank you very much for your time and attention today, and that concludes my presentation. Thank you. One last clip. There we go. Thank you, Cathy.
Thank you, Jim, for providing us with pertinent information that I think is so important. I just want to share with you, I think it's time for us seniors to have a turn. You know, every time a referendum comes out, it's for the schools, and I love the schools. We need strong schools. Or it's for, you know, a sports center that could possibly be coming down the pike. But I think it's time for us to have something. It's our turn. So this is, I think, an important thing that we need to not only advocate for, but be champions for. And it's an opportunity to redefine what a senior center could be for the people here in Elmhurst. It's very, very important. It should be a community effort. It shouldn't just be the Park District. It should be the city, it should be the hospital, it should be anybody that wants to partner with the Park District. It should be a one-stop shop where you can go and not only have activities and programs, but answers to your questions instead of having to go to a township, to 3 or 4 different buildings, finding out about Medicare and things that you're not sure about. You should be able to come to one place where they can point you in the right direction. It should be a one-stop shop. So I'm happy that this is happening. Things take time, but we do have to be engaged, and we do have to continue to talk to people and have them support something for the seniors here in Elmhurst. So thank you, Jim, for your presentation, and I hope that we all stay engaged. One of the things that I would like to share with you, I always close with a little saying, and I think this is appropriate. If nothing ever changed, there would be no butterflies. This is our cocoon, people, so we need that butterfly. Thank you so much for coming to Community Conversations.
Have you heard of the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation? Its purpose is to provide support through advocacy, education, and fundraising for the Elmhurst History Museum, our local Elmhurst history, and the Churchville one-room schoolhouse. Established in 2007 as a nonprofit organization, we initiated an endowment fund and raised funds to complete the renovation of the historic Churchville Schoolhouse. We conducted a capital campaign to develop the new exhibit, by all accounts, The Story of Elmhurst, at the History Museum, and we continue to provide financial support to enhance exhibits, programs, and events at the museum. Yes, we feel strongly about our mission and encourage you to become a member or donor of the Elmhurst Heritage Foundation. Please call or go to our website for more information to learn about the benefits of becoming a member or donor by investing in our town, our history, our heritage.